Olga Mathias has been a big part of this fight, and she joins me now. Congratulations, Olga. You and everyone in Linton must be feeling pretty relieved by this.
We're delighted, yes. It's been a big effort on behalf of on the part of the whole village. There's been an action group, but we've had researchers, various people in the village helping along. We've had the MP, we've had the council. It hasn't been a lonely battle, but it's been a tough one.
Yeah, in part because it's never been very clear where this idea originated. I mean, we are in the slightly bizarre situation of the Home Secretary apparently not knowing how this thing came up and got going.
She absolutely completely denied to our MP, Kevin Hollinrake, that it was her idea, and she told him it was Steve Baker's idea. He went to Steve Baker, who said, no, it's Kevin Foster's idea. All of them have denied it, clearly because it's such a stupid idea.
Well, but there has to be someone who cooked it up.
You'd think so.
Do you
At some stage we heard it was Boris, but nobody's ever been able to confirm or deny that.
Yeah, and that's a bit convenient, isn't it, that you decide it's Boris Johnson's fault just as you're kind of booting him out. Is it disturbing, though, that this got further along than it should have? There were advertisements placed in the papers for various employees who would be working with these asylums. So they were at the point where they were hiring people just as you started to find out about it.
Correct, and they've been hiring ever since, and people have been hired, people have been trained, and people have been put on hold, on standby, waiting for the site to open, even though actually all conversion work stopped at the end of June. And I think, as you know, Mark, our campaign has been quite categorically against the Home Office, against the way that decisions are made. And clearly the Home Affairs Committee had a report a couple of weeks ago that more or less stated the same and advised the Home Office and Priti Patel to start making decisions based on evidence and fully costed, which, had they even begun to look at evidence for the site at Linton-On-Ouse, they would never have announced it, never. There's contamination from all the fuel, there's asbestos, there's no sewage, which you and I have talked about before, there's no sewage, there isn't enough power for an extra 1,500 people. It's just, where do you start with it's all wrong?
Well, from their point of view, though, if it solves the problem, they'll bear the cost of improving the sewers or whatever it is they need to do, or they think it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. We've all learned a lot during the period that you've been waging this battle, and the thing that I take away is that actually a village, a community, a town, perhaps even a county, has actually no rights in this matter. I mean, you won because you guys went public and you waged the battle on the airwaves and in the media. But actually, as an entity, this ancient village has no say in its future.
None whatsoever. And to be honest, Mark, it's going to be a hollow victory if the Home Office continues down this path, because you know we've always said it's the wrong plan and the wrong place. So we've won the wrong place bit, but the Home Office, and hopefully Patrick will be able to talk a little bit more about what should be done or ideas, but the Home Office really needs to stop this half-blown plan, because Linton-On-Ouse, the RAF base, was one of 6 sites that the Home Office had earmarked for conversion. It's just not the right thing to do. It's not a good way of spending taxpayers' money. As you say, though, as taxpayers, we have no rights whatsoever.
No, well, it's also that it's not just as taxpayers, but it's as citizens, because in this situation, there's any number, it's not just all the fancy pants London lawyers across the river, but it's the European Court of Human Rights, for example, thinks that these asylum seekers have more rights than citizens of Yorkshire in their village. I mean, in a sense, it's inspirational, because you've shown that these politicians, if you actually turn the heat on them for something like this, and you have justice on your side, you can actually force these guys to back down. But if they weren't such miserable jelly-spined creatures in the first place, they might have just told you to stuff it because they have all the power on their side.
That's true, and the Home Office were actually telling us to stuff it, apart from there were other responses. So the fire, police, health, they were all saying it can't be done. How do we get the staff up there? The distances are huge for the fire people to travel. There's just all kinds of impracticalities. So whether or not our campaign was the pivotal factor, or whether or not the things that we brought up in our campaign made other people listen and actually lean on the Home Office, who knows? Maybe we'll never know.
No, but we should know. As I said, the sex imbalance would have been something like 80 young men for every 20 ladies, and there were a lot of those on the distaff side in Linton-On-Ouse, whether they were little girls or whether they were elderly pensioners who just didn't like that arithmetic.
Correct. But the arithmetic doesn't make sense, does it? Not from any perspective. What are these people going to do? What are the villagers going to do with such an imbalance? You're quite right to pick up on that.
Well, the police, I think, they tried to reassure you by saying they'd send a car through the village once every fortnight or whatever it was, and this was somehow meant to reassure you.
To be fair to the police, there were 2 policemen on duty all the time from 7 a.m. until midnight, all day, every day. But I mean, that's something that never had to happen. So the contradiction there with your lives won't change, this is going to be a self-contained site, to having policemen there for the best part of 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, clearly lives have changed.
Yeah.
Already.
No, that's right. Well, congratulations, Olga. It's very, and it is inspirational, folks. If you make a lot of noise, these politicians can't take the heat. They're like cockroaches. They start scurrying when you turn the lights up on them, which is what Olga did. So congratulations to you for that.